discussion on empowerment technology. This video will help you explore the different technologies and online platforms and how they can be used effectively. It contains activities that will let you create your own ICT contents and evaluate existing online creation tools, platforms, and applications. The module is self-instructional and allows you to learn in your own space, at your own pace. So, relax and enjoy learning overview of the subject. First quarter Module 1, ICT in the context of global communication will give you an introduction into ICT and the different online platforms that may be used for its specific purpose. It will also tackle on online safety, security, and online etiquette. You will be able to get tips on how to maximize the power of the internet to assist you in your research work through discussing research tools and evaluating relevant and reliable websites. By the end of this lesson, you are expected to 1. Identify varied online platforms and sites. 2. Compare and contrast the nuances of varied online platforms, sites, and content to best achieve specific class objectives or address situational challenges. 3. Evaluate existing online creation tools, platforms, and applications in developing ICT content. What is ICT? Information and Communications Technology, ICT, often deals with the use of different technologies such as mobile phones, telephones, computer, internet, and other devices, as well as software and applications to locate, save, send, and manipulate information. Empowering ICT is important for its innovative uses impacts our daily lives. It has affected our ways of communicating, made our lives more convenient, and assisted countries towards their modernization plans. Thus, there is a need to create a foundation of understanding in the world of ICT. It also often deals with the use of different technological inventions like mobile phones, telephones, computer, internet, and other devices, as well as software and applications to locate, save, send, and manipulate information. ICT has greatly contributed to how easy our lives has been today. Our gadgets have become part of our necessity that we check on them after we wake up. It made communication easier. We can use cellular phones that are designed for communicating with other people even they are miles away from us. It has also assisted us in our work since there are internet-based jobs. It has revolutionized our education and in the modernization of our economy. In the Philippines now I let you watch a video of ICT here in the Philippines next. Is an information system on the internet that allows documents to be connected to other documents by hypertext links, enabling the user to search for information by moving from one document to another. It was invented by Tim Berners-Lee. The World Wide Web browser software, such as Microsoft's Internet Explorer/Edge, Mozilla Firefox, Opera, Apple Safari, and Google Chrome, let users navigate from one web page to another via the hyperlinks embedded in the documents. These documents may also contain any combination of computer data, including graphics, sounds, text, video, multimedia, and interactive content that runs while the user is interacting with the page. The web has enabled individuals and organizations to publish ideas and information to a potentially large audience online at greatly reduced expense and time delay. There are 3 types of websites. I'll let you watch a video.
The World Wide Web, where you're likely watching this video, is used by millions of people every day. for everything from checking the weather, ordering food, and chatting with friends, to raising funds, sharing news, or starting revolutions. We use it from our computers, our phones, even our cars. It's just there, all around us, all the time. But what is it exactly? Well, first of all, the World Wide Web is not the Internet, even though the terms are often used interchangeably. The Internet is simply the way computers connect to each other in order to share information. When the Internet first emerged, computers actually made direct calls to each other. Today, networks are all around us, so computers can communicate seamlessly. The communication enabled through the Internet has many uses, such as email, file transfer, and conferencing. But the most common use is accessing the World Wide Web. Think of the web as a bunch of skyscrapers, each representing a web server, a computer always connected to the Internet, specifically designed to store information and share it. When someone starts a website, they are renting a room in this skyscraper, filling it with information and linking that information together in an organized way for others to access. The people who own these skyscrapers and rent space in them are called web hosts, but anyone can set up a web server with the right equipment and a bit of know-how. There's another part to having a website without which we would be lost in the city with no way of finding what we need. This is the website address, which consists of domain names. Just like with a real-life address, a website address lets you get where you want to go. The information stored in the websites is in web languages, such as HTML and JavaScript. When we find the website we're looking for, our web browser is able to take all the code on the site and turn it into words, graphics, and videos. We don't need to know any special computer languages because the web browser creates a graphic interface for us. So in a lot of ways, the World Wide Web is a big virtual city where we communicate with each other in web languages, with browsers acting as our translators. And just like no one owns a city, no one owns the web. It belongs to all of us. Anyone can move in and set up shop. We might have to pay an internet service provider to gain access, a hosting company to rent web space, or a registrar to reserve our web address. Like utility companies in a city, these companies provide crucial services, but in the end, not even they own the web. But what really makes the web so special lies in its very name. Prior to the web, we used to consume most information in a linear fashion. In a book or newspaper article, each sentence was read from beginning to end, page by page, in a straight line until you reached the end. But that isn't how our brains actually work. Each of our thoughts is linked to other thoughts, memories, and emotions in a loose, interconnected network, like a web. Tim Berners-Lee, the father of the World Wide Web, understood that we needed a way to organize information that mirrored this natural arrangement. And the web accomplishes this through hyperlinks. By linking several pages within a website or even redirecting you to other websites to expand on information or ideas immediately as you encounter them, hyperlinks allow the web to operate along the same lines as our thought patterns. The web is so much a part of our lives because in content and structure, it reflects both the wider society and our individual minds. And it connects those minds across all boundaries, not only ethnicity, gender, and age, but even time and space.
Hey, what's up guys? Welcome to a new video from the Web Dev Cave channel. Today we're going to talk about web pages, websites, dynamic and static, and web applications. A lot of people confuse these concepts and use them interchangeably, but in fact, they are totally different from each other. Let's start by defining these words. What is a web page? A web page is a single document that is written using hypertext markup language, and it's accessible via the web through the internet using a web browser. I recommend watching my video about the web and the internet if you are not familiar with the two concepts. You may ask then, what is hypertext? What I mean by a hypertext is a text that contains hyperlinks that lead to other documents, usually other web pages. A hyperlink simply is a text, word, sentence, button, icon, sometimes even a picture. When you click or hover on it, you will be directed to another web page. We can access the web page by referring to it using a URL, Uniform Resource Locator address, using a web browser. This is how a typical URL looks like. The web page may contain text, graphics, hyperlinks to other files. A website, however, is a group of interlinked, well-structured web pages that exist on the same domain, that is to say, grouped together in one place. When I say group of interlinked web pages, this picture may cross your mind, and it is correct. However, they are not just grouped and interlinked, they are well structured as well. This is a very simple structured website. In fact, this is just for the illustration, and we can shift from page to page using hyperlinks. Now, don't confuse between a group of web pages and a website. A group of web pages are not structured, not necessarily interlinked and grouped in one place. We can distinguish between two types of websites: static and dynamic. Static websites are websites that contains only static web pages. For example, our website is a static one and all its web pages are static. Well, what is a static web page then? A static web page is a document that every time it is requested, it displays on the browser exactly as it is stored in the server, the place where the document physically exists. It doesn't change at all, unless if the creator changes it manually. The URL address of a static web page must end with a document extension, such as .html or .php. If it doesn't, then it is not a static web page. This is a simple diagram that shows how the process of getting a web page displayed in the browser goes. Now, let's say a story here. Here in the left is the end user, and in the right, the server. And then the internet in between that allows the user to access the resources that exist on the server, right? First, the user type in the URL address of the web page he wants and press enter. The web browser then sends a HTTP request to the server. We have a dedicated video to the HTTP protocol and how the web works, so don't panic. When the server receives the request, it processes it and fetches the page that the user asked for. When it finds it, it sends it back to the web browser that is opened by the end user. So this is a kind of simple explanation of the request response process. Dynamic websites, on the other hand, contains dynamic web pages, namely web pages that are generated using scripting languages and programs interacting with the database on the server side. Programs that add, restrict, edit, or remove data without the creator intervention. This is important, without the creator intervention. These web pages may change on the fly based on the user action or his computer information. For example, the page may contain the current date and time at which you are viewing the web page, or the website can display your profile information every time you log into it. This is a similar diagram to the previous one. However, this illustrates requesting a dynamic web page. We have the same process at first. The user enters the URL and the request is sent, but the web page is not already created. Here, the user is asking for a web page that doesn't exist physically on the server, but the information that will be displayed in it are there in the database. So here, the server asks for those specific information from the database, and then the PHP script takes care of it and converts it to a web page. Finally, the web page is sent back to the end user via a response message. Now, let's talk about web applications. A web application is a software program that exists on the server and runs using a web browser through a web page. The application is similar to desktop application. It is created using a combination of programming languages and web application frameworks. It may use RAM and allow user interactivity, and it is designed for many uses. For example, Google Mail is an application, online auctions, Facebook, YouTube, online video editing, online spreadsheet, etc. Here is an explaining diagram. It is very similar to dynamic web pages request, but in fact, there are complicated things out there that we will be tackling in other videos. A way to distinguish between web applications and dynamic websites is that web applications are based on user engagement and almost all their content is from the end user. And also, web applications are similar to desktop applications, and they are more complicated and need more skills than websites do. While dynamic websites allow the user to interact and add content, but the created content is the dominant. And of course, they are less complicated. So, to sum up, we've seen that web pages are single documents that may contain text, graphics, etc., and they are created using a markup language such as HTML. We go to a specific web page by entering its URL address in the web browser. Hypertext is a text document that contains links to other text documents. We've also seen that websites are a group of well-structured and interlinked web pages, and that we move from a page to another page using hyperlinks. Also, there is two types of websites, static and dynamic. Static websites are displayed to the end user every time, exactly as they are stored on the server. Dynamic websites, however, may contain content that is generated on the fly by server-side programs. We have also seen that web applications are server-side software program that is delivered over the internet through a browser interface. They are similar to desktop applications that are complicated and are based on user engagement. So yeah, I hope you found this useful and you've learned something. And yeah, don't forget to subscribe. Till the next video, stay tuned.
Answer and submit your activity.